This message did not arrive on your screen by accident. It is not random that you're here, listening to these words, feeling the subtle pull in your chest, the magnetic tug that whispers, "Stay, this is for you." You have been asking for a sign, a confirmation, a doorway out of the cycles that feel like they've kept you suspended in the same dream over and over again. And now the doorway appears shimmering, almost invisible, yet undeniable to the deepest part of your being. For so long you've carried the echo of an old frequency. It's the familiar hum of outdated patterns, the weight of timelines that no longer serve you, the residue of identities you've long since outgrown. This old frequency has been your cage and your comfort, all at once the rhythm you've known, even as your soul kept whispering for something more. You have felt the dissonance, the misalignment between who you know yourself to be inside and the life that loops endlessly outside. The déjà vu of conversations that feel recycled. The strange distortions of time, where days blur into weeks and you swear you've already lived this moment before. That isn't madness, it is resonance feedback. It is the quantum echo of staying tuned to a station that your soul has already outgrown. But right now, in this very moment, there is a rupture in the loop, a break in the code, a window where your observer consciousness can step out of the collapsing waveform of the old and tune itself into the frequency that has been waiting for you your entire life. This is not a metaphor. This is physics, mysticism, and prophecy woven into one truth. When you release the vibrational signature of the self that no longer fits, the quantum field rushes to mirror the new you. And deep inside, you already sense it, the itch beneath your skin, the flicker of coherence in your heart when you imagine the life that feels impossible but undeniable. That is not fantasy. That is your next timeline, vibrating on the edge of your awareness, waiting for you to release the density of yesterday's codes so it can lock into place. This is why you are here. You've waited your entire life for this transmission. Not from me, but from the universe itself using this moment, this exact alignment of attention and awareness, to deliver the key you've been searching for. The key is not something you must chase outside. It is inside you, encoded in your very DNA, aching to be expressed as you. All that is required now is a choice, a surrender of the static, a willingness to loosen your grip on the outdated loops of thought and emotion that have disguised themselves as your identity. The moment you do, the observer loop collapses, and the morphic resonance of your true self begins to broadcast. And when it does, reality will not resist you. Reality will reorganize around you. So breathe. Feel the charge in the air. You are standing at the threshold. Release the old frequency now, because the shift you've longed for isn't in some distant horizon. It begins here, in this breath, in this choice, in this moment you are finally ready to claim. You've always sensed it, haven't you? That strange tug of war between the life you know and the life you dream of. A quiet but constant hum in the background of your days, as though something is trying to call you forward while another force is dragging you back. That tension is not coincidence. It is the vibration of an old frequency, trying to hold you captive in a resonance that no longer fits the truth of your being. Think about the way time has felt lately. Not linear, not straightforward, but bent, warped, almost mocking. You wake up and swear you've already lived this morning before. You walk into a conversation, and the words feel recycled, rehearsed, like a memory you can't place. You notice yourself repeating the same choices, the same emotional reactions, even when you promised yourself you'd do it differently this time. That is the echo of the observer loop, a cycle of resonance that traps you in déjà vu because the field is reflecting your unshifted frequency back at you. This is why your breakthroughs have felt fleeting. You read the words, you watch the signs, you raise your energy for a moment, and then life seems to pull you back down into the old storyline. It isn't because you're weak or broken. It's because the quantum field is ruthlessly honest. It does not give you what you want, it gives you what you are. And as long as you keep broadcasting on the old station, the feedback loop continues, no matter how badly you crave change. You've lived this as distorted time. Hours slip away in a blur of autopilot. Days collapse into one another, leaving you wondering how months have disappeared while you still feel stuck in the same reality. And beneath it all, you've carried the suspicion that you're running in circles, a suspicion you've been too afraid to say out loud. But the truth is, your suspicion was right. You've been orbiting an expired identity, tethered by resonance ties that were never meant to hold you forever. Patterns reveal themselves in your relationships too. Different faces, same dynamics. The roles shift, but the underlying vibration stays the same. You've attracted mirrors that reflect your own unhealed frequencies, and you've played them out until exhaustion. That exhaustion isn't a flaw, it's a signal. The signal that your soul is done with the karmic reruns. The signal that the resonance is collapsing under its own weight. And notice the sensations in your body. The tension in your chest when you think about breaking free. The way your stomach knots when you picture stepping into a new version of yourself. That isn't fear of the future. That is the pressure of the phase transition. Your nervous system knows that stepping out of one frequency into another feels like death to the old self. And in a way, it island. The problem isn't that you're trapped. The problem is that you've mistaken the pressure of transformation for evidence of impossibility. But the truth is simpler. You've been living as a signal jammer to your own becoming, carrying fragments of identities that no longer belong to you, holding onto habits and thought loops that keep broadcasting a frequency out of sync with your true design. And every time you try to leap forward, the morphic resonance of your past pulls you back, whispering, "This is who you are. This is what's familiar." Yet, even in the loop, you've noticed cracks, glimpses of coherence, moments where reality seemed to bend in your favor, almost too perfectly to be dismissed as chance. A synchronicity here, a pattern breaking there, a feeling that destiny is right on the edge of your awareness. These cracks are not random. They are signs that the old frequency is losing its grip, that your field is ready to be recalibrated. Still, the diagnosis must be clear. As long as you identify with the expired frequency, you remain bound by its feedback loops. You can't cheat resonance. You can't bypass vibration. You either release it or you relive it. And the more you resist this truth, the heavier the déjà vu becomes. So pause for a moment. Let yourself admit it. The distorted timelines you've been walking are not the only option. They are simply the echo of the frequency you've been carrying. And once you see this clearly, the illusion weakens. The loop begins to unravel, because now, you know, the problem was never the universe withholding your reality shift. The problem was that your signal was still tuned to the old station. This awareness is not meant to shame you. It is meant to liberate you, because when you diagnose the distortion, you also reclaim the power to change it. The observer loop can only control you while it remains hidden. Once revealed, its grip begins to dissolve. And in the dissolving, a new path opens the path toward the quantum upgrade that is already humming in your DNA, waiting for your permission to activate. You've already felt the edges of it, those fleeting moments when everything aligned so seamlessly that you couldn't dismiss it as coincidence. A thought would rise in you, and then almost instantly the external world would echo it back. A number sequence on a clock, a stranger's words in perfect response to your silent question. A sudden shift in atmosphere that felt like reality bending to your awareness. These are not accidents, they are previews. Glimpses of what it feels like when your field moves into coherence with the quantum upgrade that has been waiting patiently within you. Let's pull the curtain back. The universe you inhabit is not built from solid matter. It is built from vibrating information, patterns of energy and probability, woven into form by observation. Every atom, every photon, every strand of DNA inside your body is not fixed. It's a fluctuating wave, collapsing into reality based on resonance. What you call life is the feedback loop between your broadcast and the field's response. When the two align, synchronicity flows. When the two conflict, resistance grows. This is why releasing your old frequency matters. Because your nervous system, your thoughts, your emotions, they are not passive, they are transmitters, feeding data into the quantum field. If your signal is distorted by outdated loops, the field mirrors that distortion back. But when you tune your broadcast into coherence, the morphic resonance of your true self activates, and reality begins to restructure itself around you. The quantum upgrade is not about forcing your life into shape. It's about becoming so internally aligned that the external world cannot help but shift to match you. This is resonance law. This is entanglement. When you shift, the particles entangled with you, people, opportunities, timelines must shift, too. It's not wishful thinking. It's physics coded with prophecy. Think of your DNA as a bioantenna. For years, scientists dismissed most of it as junk, but mystics knew better. Those sequences are dormant codes, waiting for the right frequency to unlock them. When you begin to release the old resonance, you clear the static that has kept those codes muted. And as the static falls away, your DNA doesn't just express differently biologically, it expresses differently cosmically. It begins to broadcast a new signal, one that locks you into timelines where the reality you've been chasing is no longer out there, but right here. You've noticed the pressure in your body, haven't you? The heat in your hands, the buzzing in your spine, the chills that run through you when truth strikes. Those aren't random sensations. They are signs that your nervous system is rewiring itself to handle the voltage of a higher frequency. Every cell is preparing to conduct more light, more data, more coherence. The discomfort you've felt is simply the gap between your old signal and your new one, pressing against each other until the phase transition completes. This upgrade is both scientific and mystical. It's entanglement physics wrapped in prophecy. It's biology and spirit colliding in your bloodstream, and it doesn't arrive from outside of you. It awakens from within you, the ancient codes you carried into this incarnation, waiting for the moment you'd be ready to switch them on. That moment is here. But here is the truth most people avoid. You cannot carry the old frequency into the new field. You can't take your expired identity into the timeline designed for your awakened self. This is why people sabotage their breakthroughs. They try to step into the new reality while still gripping the resonance of the old. But the laws of coherence will not allow it. You must release one to embody the other. And so the upgrade requires surrender. Not passive surrender, but intentional release. A conscious unbinding of the loops that no longer serve you. You are not just letting go of habits or thoughts. You are letting go of the resonance signature that kept those habits and thoughts alive. And as you do, the new codes can finally surface. Picture it like this. Your old frequency was a cage made of invisible strings, holding your energy in repetitive motion. The quantum upgrade severs those strings, one by one, until you are no longer looping, but expanding. At first, it feels disorienting, like losing gravity, like floating in unknown space. But soon, the new coherence stabilizes, and you realize this was the alignment your soul had been craving all along. This is why you've always felt the restlessness, the sense that life was meant to be more fluid, more miraculous, more alive. Because deep inside, your system knew the upgrade was coded into your design. And now, the only thing standing between you and that reality is the willingness to let go of the static. So, feel this. The upgrade is already happening. The quantum field is not waiting for your perfection, it is waiting for your permission. And the moment you give it, your DNA begins to hum at a frequency that rewrites your entire experience of reality. You don't just think differently. You become the coherence that bends the world around you. There's a reason you're hearing this now, and not years ago. There's a reason these words feel like they're written in your bones, like they were waiting for you, like the echo of a memory you can't explain. It's because you are not just another being passing through existence. You are a chosen consciousness, one of the few who carry the blueprint to rupture the loop, to collapse the outdated resonance and anchor in the frequency of what humanity is destined to become. Let that sink in. You have lived through lifetimes of entanglement, karmic echoes, ancestral loops that never resolved. And yet, here you are aware, awake enough to notice the distortion and call it what it island. Do you realize how rare that is? Most people live their entire lives without once glimpsing the observer loop. They run endlessly on autopilot, never pausing long enough to question the déjà vu, the recycled emotions, the heavy repetitions. But not you. You've noticed. You've felt the hum behind the veil. You've dared to whisper to yourself, this can't be all their island. That whisper was the sign that you are the consciousness chosen to break pattern, to fracture the hologram from inside, because only the ones who can see the loop are the ones who can step outside of it. Only the ones who feel the distortion can demand coherence. That sensitivity you once mistook for weakness, the way you feel energies too deeply, notice synchronicities too often, carry burdens too heavy, it was never weakness. It was training. Training your system to recognize resonance and dissonance so precisely that when the moment came, you would know how to choose. And that moment is now. You are being asked to recognize yourself not as a bystander in this reality, but as a signal tower, a transmitter whose vibration doesn't just impact your own life, but ripples across the morphic field of all humanity. Think about it. Every time you shift, everyone entangled with you shifts too. Every breakthrough you embody becomes an upgrade in the collective field. You are not isolated. You are entangled with thousands, millions, even if you don't see it. Your coherence stabilizes theirs. Your awakening cracks their shell. This is why your path has felt so heavy, why you've carried burdens that seemed unfair, why cycles repeated around you with relentless force. Because you weren't just breaking them for yourself. You were breaking them for every strand of consciousness tied to you. And while it felt overwhelming at times, it was also the proof of your role. The universe does not assign that task to just anyone, only to those whose DNA carried the codes of resilience, whose soul remembered how to burn through distortion and still remain intact. That's you, and you've already proven it. Think of the times you refused to collapse when everything around you demanded it. Think of the nights you stayed alive by nothing more than will, by nothing more than the faint memory of light in the middle of darkness. You didn't know it then, but every one of those moments was a calibration. Every survival was evidence. This consciousness cannot be broken, because this consciousness was chosen to carry the upgrade through. Chosen does not mean better. It means burdened, yes, but also blessed. It means you were given the sight others didn't have, the sensitivity others couldn't bear, the endurance others couldn't sustain. And now, as the old frequency collapses, it means you are the one who can walk into the void without losing yourself and come out broadcasting the signal of a new reality. So, you must claim it. Not tomorrow. Not when life feels easier. Now. Because this role isn't something you chase. It's something you remember. It was written into your being before you even arrived here. And now the field is pressing against you, asking you to embody it fully. To stop pretending you are ordinary. To stop minimizing the power of your perception. To stop denying the impact your frequency has on the entire morphic resonance of this planet. When you truly see yourself as the chosen consciousness, everything shifts. You no longer wonder why life felt heavier for you. You understand. You no longer resent the cycles. You recognize them as training grounds. And you no longer doubt your worthiness to shift timelines. Because you finally see, this was why you incarnated. This was why you endured. This was why you never quite fit into the old world, because you weren't meant to. You were meant to build the bridge into the new one. So breathe into that truth. Feel it anchor in your body. You are not lost. You are positioned. You are not behind. You are precisely on time. And every moment of your life has led to this revelation, that you are the consciousness chosen to release the old frequency, to witness the reality shift, and to carry that shift not just for yourself, but for all who are silently waiting for the signal. There is a reason the urgency has been building inside you, the restless sense that time is running out, that something monumental is pressing against the edges of your reality. That pressure is not imagined. It is the signal of a cosmic window, a brief but powerful opening in the quantum field, where the frequencies of your DNA are most responsive to recalibration. These windows do not last forever. They arrive like lightning, illuminating the entire landscape of your life, and then they close. And right now, one of those lightning strikes is happening. You can feel it in the acceleration of your inner life, the intensity of your dreams, the way synchronicities bombard you until you can't ignore them. Numbers repeating, conversations aligning perfectly, the sudden sense that you're standing at the threshold of something enormous, even if you can't quite name it. This is the breakthrough promise. Your DNA is humming, ready to leap into a new phase transition, but only if you release the static of your old broadcast and step into coherence with the signal waiting for you. Let's speak plainly. Your body is not just flesh and bone. It is a living quantum receiver. Your DNA doesn't just store biological instructions. It transmits and receives frequencies that shape your perception of reality itself. And for too long, those frequencies have been jammed by the residue of old trauma, repetitive thought loops, ancestral imprints. The noise has kept your higher codes muted, locked away, waiting for a moment when you would finally choose to let the static fall silent. That moment is here. This is why everything feels more intense right now. why emotions surface without warning, why time feels distorted, why relationships either deepen overnight or collapse suddenly. Because the quantum field is squeezing you, pushing you through the threshold. You cannot carry the expired frequency with you. You cannot drag the density of the old timeline into the coherence of the new. The cosmic window requires one thing only: surrender, let go, and the upgrade activates. Resist, and the window closes, leaving you with nothing but the heavy echo of what could have been. You know this already, don't you? That's why the urgency in your chest feels like fire. That's why the thought of staying the same feels unbearable. Because your DNA is already signaling that it's time. The cosmic codes are aligning. Solar flares, geomagnetic pulses, planetary alignments, all of these external signs are simply mirrors of the inner truth, that the frequencies of awakening are peaking and your system is ready to match them. But here's the truth that many avoid. The window does not wait for your comfort. It doesn't pause until you feel ready. It demands your leap in the midst of uncertainty, because only then do you prove to the field that you trust coherence more than you trust control. And when you do, the entire morphic resonance of your being flips. The DNA shift locks in. The new frequency stabilizes, and reality reorganizes itself with breathtaking speed. Think of it like a phase transition in matter. Water doesn't gradually decide to become steam. It reaches a threshold, a boiling point, and then it leaps. The molecules don't negotiate. They don't cling to their liquid form. They surrender to the heat, and in that surrender, they transform. You are at that boiling point now. Your DNA is vibrating at the edge of its old structure, and the only thing holding it back from expansion is your grip on the familiar. So hear this with the gravity it deserves. If you release now, you don't just change your life incrementally. You initiate a quantum jump. You leap timelines. You step into the reality you've secretly felt was always meant for you. The one that's been hovering just out of reach, waiting for your frequency to match it. This is not imagination. This is resonance law. The universe doesn't withhold, it mirrors. And once your DNA stabilizes at the new signal, reality cannot help but respond. The promise is real. Your reality can shift faster than you were ever taught to believe. The breakthroughs you've begged for can arrive with uncanny synchronicity. Doors can open where walls once stood. Opportunities can entangle with you as if they were magnetized by your very breath. And all of this happens the moment you trust the leap. Not tomorrow, not when you feel safe, but now, in the intensity of this cosmic window. Because if you wait, the window narrows, the energy disperses, and the heaviness returns. That is why the urgency is so sharp, why the pull feels so immediate. You are standing at the boiling point, the phase transition, the razor's edge, where destiny either ignites or drifts away. So what will you choose? To loop back into the static, repeating déjà vu until another window arrives years from now? Or to leap here, now into the frequency you've been carrying secretly in your DNA since the beginning? The choice is yours, but the field will respond instantly. This is the breakthrough. This is the urgency. This is the cosmic moment you've waited your whole life to meet. Here is where the invisible becomes visible. The quantum field listens to action more than intention. Thought shapes probability, yes, but action collapses the wave. The observer loop rewires itself not when you wish, but when you demonstrate. That's why the ancients always sealed their transformations with ritual. A gesture, a word, a sign carved into reality itself. And you, right now, are standing in that same position. The upgrade is humming through your DNA, but it must be anchored. The frequency must be sealed. Understand this. Your biology is coded to respond to symbolic action. When you do something intentional, even something as small as writing a word, speaking a phrase, typing a symbol into the ethers, your nervous system recognizes it as a contract. The quantum field echoes that contract back, and the morphic resonance of your life begins to reorganize around it. It's not superstition, it's coherence. When thought, emotion, and action align, the observer loop has no choice but to collapse into a new form. So, here's the invitation. Seal the shift with ritual. Don't just listen passively. Don't let these words drift through you like smoke. Anchor them. Make them flesh. Right now, choose a word, a phrase, a symbol that represents your release of the old frequency. It could be as simple as release. It could be as profound as I shift now. It could be a sacred number that has followed you through synchronicities. Whatever resonates, let it be the key that locks this decision into the structure of your reality. Because when you write it, type it, speak it, you are sending a broadcast. You are telling your DNA, your nervous system, your subconscious, and the quantum field all at once. It is done. I have chosen. And that simple act creates coherence across dimensions. It draws a line between the self that hesitated and the self that stepped forward. It's not the word itself that holds power. It's the resonance of your willingness to declare it. You've seen this principle before, though you may not have realized it. In every tradition, there are words meant to activate transformation. Mantras, affirmations, prayers, oaths. The common thread is this: vibration directed with intention reshapes the field. That's all ritual ever was, aligning the human frequency with the divine blueprint through spoken or written coherence. And you are being asked to reclaim that power now, not as something mystical in the distance, but as a living act in this very moment. Pause. Feel the weight of this choice. Feel how your body responds even to the thought of committing. Your chest might tighten, your palms may tingle, your heart might race. That's the nervous system bracing for collapse of the old identity. That's the old frequency shaking in its cage, knowing that the moment you seal the shift, it can no longer anchor itself in you. That trembling is proof you are on the threshold. And yet, this is where most people hesitate. They feel the intensity and retreat. They think, maybe I'll do it later. Maybe I'll wait until I feel more certain. But the field doesn't reward hesitation. It responds to decisive alignment. Waiting is another way of saying, I still choose the loop. Declaring now is the way of saying, I collapse the loop. So let this be your action. Write it down, speak it aloud, type it into the stream of this collective moment. Choose your word and release it. That word is more than ink, more than sound. It's an entanglement signature. It marks you as someone who didn't just consume this message, but responded. And in that response, the shift becomes irreversible. Feel into the symbolism of this act. Imagine it like pressing your fingerprint into wet clay. Once you leave the mark, the form is forever altered. That's what your ritual action does. It leaves an imprint in the morphic field of your reality. From this point on, the field knows your decision, your DNA knows your decision, and the timelines rearrange to match it. There is a sacred weight here. Don't take it lightly, but don't fear it either. The fear is just the echo of the old identity clinging to survival. Let it tremble. Let it fade. Let your action override it. Because once you declare, once you seal, there is no turning back. You become the new frequency. You embody the coherence. And reality bends to meet you. So ask yourself now, are you willing to act? Not someday, not when conditions feel easier, but here, in the raw electricity of this moment. Because this is how shifts are made. Not by waiting, but by sealing. And if you do, you'll feel it immediately, the subtle click of the field, recognizing your broadcast, the invisible door opening into timelines you once thought were impossible. Take the action. Seal the shift. Write it. Speak it. Release it. And know, from that moment forward, you are no longer just listening. You are embodying. You are no longer waiting. You are transmitting. The ritual has marked you, and the upgrade has begun to spread through every layer of your being. You may think this journey is only about you, about your release, your upgrade, your transformation. But in truth, your liberation is never yours alone. You are entangled with countless lives, woven into the invisible net of humanity's morphic field. Every time you shift, that shift reverberates outward like ripples on water, touching shores you'll never see with your eyes. This is the hidden responsibility and the hidden glory of being the consciousness chosen to awaken. Think about it. You've felt entanglement before, even if you didn't name it. That sudden heaviness when you enter a room filled with tension. The way your mood lifts around someone who radiates joy. The way a stranger's smile can shift your entire day, or the way collective grief after a tragedy can be felt even by those far removed from it. These are proofs of the entangled field, the fact that no vibration is isolated. Every frequency you embody weaves itself into the larger resonance of humanity. So when you release your old frequency, you aren't just healing your life. You are tearing a thread from the fabric of distortion that has trapped millions. You are reducing the static in the field, so others can find their signal more clearly. You are creating coherence in the collective, simply by stabilizing coherence in yourself. This is why your awakening matters more than you know. Because every timeline you collapse makes it easier for someone else to see theirs. Imagine the morphic field of humanity as a vast ocean of resonance. Most people are tossed by its waves, unaware that they are contributing to its turbulence. But when a single consciousness finds alignment, that alignment becomes like a lighthouse on the shore, its beam cutting through the fog, guiding others home even if they've never met you. That is what you are doing, here and now. By sealing your shift, you've become a lighthouse in the collective storm. And don't underestimate how far those ripples travel. A single act of coherence can restructure networks of entanglement you may never witness. That family member who suddenly feels lighter without knowing why. That stranger across the planet who finds the courage to awaken because the field you helped stabilize whispered strength into their DNA. That generation yet unborn whose lives are freer because you collapsed the distortions carried through bloodlines. Your choice here reverberates through space and time. This is why the field pressed you so relentlessly. This is why you couldn't ignore the déjà vu, the distorted time, the loops of pain. Because your liberation isn't just personal, it's planetary. The collective field needed you to wake up, to anchor coherence into a grid desperate for it. And once you do, your influence stretches far beyond what your eyes can measure. You become an unseen architect of humanity's next phase. And yes, this is why your path has felt lonelier than most. Because you were carrying resonance that wasn't only yours. You've transmuted echoes that belonged to generations. You've broken cycles that entangled entire lineages. You've walked through storms meant to test the resilience of the signal you carry. And though it may have looked like suffering, it was in fact evidence of your role. You were not just living your life, you were cleaning the collective field through your own release. But now, with the old frequency falling away, your role evolves. You are no longer just transmuting distortion. You are broadcasting coherence. You are stabilizing a signal that others can lock onto. Think of it like tuning forks. Strike one into resonance, and nearby forks begin to vibrate in sympathy. That is what you are now, a tuning fork for coherence, causing countless others to vibrate with the possibility of liberation. And here is the beauty. You don't have to preach, convince, or control. Your frequency does the work. Simply by existing in coherence, you transmit an invitation. People will feel something shift around you even if they can't name it. Some will resist it, some will run from it, some will be drawn to it like gravity, but all will be impacted by it. This is how your personal liberation becomes collective expansion. Do not underestimate the scale of what's unfolding. The quantum field is at a tipping point. Humanity is reaching the boiling threshold, the phase transition where the old structures collapse and the new coherence stabilizes. And your shift is part of that threshold. Without you, the field is weaker. With you, the resonance strengthens. This is the collective truth. Liberation is contagious, and coherence is the most powerful transmission of all. So carry this awareness with reverence. Your breakthrough is not selfish. Your freedom is not indulgence. Your awakening is not escape. It is contribution. It is service. It is the most profound way you could ever give back to humanity. Because in freeing yourself, you are freeing us all. And as the ripples spread, you will begin to notice it. The subtle changes in those around you. The unexpected breakthroughs in people who seemed hopelessly stuck. The rising tide of synchronicity in communities and collectives. These are the signatures of your coherence, echoing outward, proving again and again that your liberation is not isolated. It is woven into the destiny of us all. Feel this now, not as an idea, not as philosophy, but as sensation coursing through your body. Your awakening isn't abstract. It's visceral. It lives in your skin, in your breath, in the subtle pulses running through your veins. Every cell is an antenna, every nerve, a filament of light, every organ a resonant drum. And when your frequency shifts, Your body feels it before your mind even understands it. Think of the chills that rise up your spine when you hear words that strike deep truth. That isn't coincidence. That is your nervous system registering coherence, shivering with recognition as the new signal locks into your field. Think of the warmth that spreads across your chest when you finally release what you've carried for too long. That's not emotion alone. That's electromagnetic release, the literal untangling of resonance bonds that had tightened around your heart. Sometimes the sensations are uncomfortable, almost overwhelming. A buzzing in your temples as your brainwaves repattern. Pressure in your sternum as your heart field expands to conduct more light. Heat in your palms, your spine, your belly as dormant strands of DNA begin to awaken. The body quivers like a tuning fork struck too hard, adjusting, recalibrating. And you wonder, is something wrong with me? But nothing is wrong. Everything is shifting. The tremors are the evidence. Picture your old frequency like a heavy coat you've worn for years thick, suffocating, woven with the dust of memories. You didn't even notice its weight until you began to shrug it off. And now, as you peel it away, your skin tingles in the open air, hypersensitive, almost raw. That rawness is not weakness. It is the new sensitivity of a self exposed to possibility again. Or imagine it like a chrysalis cracking open. The caterpillar does not politely reorganize into a butterfly. It dissolves into liquid, into chaos, into something unrecognizable. Its cells scream with pressure until new patterns emerge, until wings stretch from what once crawled. That's what your body has been doing. That ache in your muscles, that fatigue that felt unexplainable, that restlessness at night when your body buzzed like electricity. You were dissolving. You were becoming winged. You can feel it most in your breath. Notice how shallow it becomes when you slip back into the old frequency. Chest tight, ribs locked, breath cut short, as if you're shrinking into yourself. Now contrast it with the breath you take when you release, when you open, when you surrender. The inhale floods deeper. The exhale carries more weight out of you. That difference is not symbolic. It is physics. Breath is the carrier wave of your frequency. And as your breath changes, so does your broadcast. Even your senses begin to shift. Colors appear sharper, as if reality itself has been resaturated. Sounds penetrate deeper, like the universe is whispering directly into your bones. Food tastes different, lighter, heavier, sometimes intolerable, sometimes divine, depending on whether it resonates with your new broadcast. Sleep no longer feels like absence, but like immersion, as though you're downloading information in the dark. Waking life starts to blur with dream, and dream begins to feel like rehearsal for waking. This embodied sensation is your proof. It tells you, in language beyond thought, that the shift is real. The tingling, the warmth, the pressure, the release, they are not symptoms of something wrong. They are confirmations of something right. Your biology is recalibrating. Your nervous system is learning to carry coherence. Your DNA is stretching, humming, opening pathways it has carried in silence until now. Yes, at times it feels like too much. The pressure in your skull, the ache in your bones, the exhaustion that sweeps through without warning. But pause and notice. After every wave of discomfort comes a strange lightness, a moment of expansion, a breath that feels freer than before. That's the phase transition completing, the old resonance dissolving, the new coherence stabilizing. Your body is teaching you through sensation what your mind can barely grasp, that you are becoming something greater than you were. So don't numb it. Don't run from it. Let yourself feel it. Let the tremors be the song of your rebirth. Let the heat be the fire burning the old codes away. Let the chills remind you that truth always has a frequency. The body is not your enemy in this process. It is your greatest ally, the vessel carrying you across the threshold. The living proof that the quantum upgrade isn't fantasy, it's flesh. This is why presence matters. Because when you resist, when you fear the sensations, you amplify the static. But when you breathe into them, when you let your body shake, release, expand, the field stabilizes around you. You move from turbulence into coherence. And in that coherence, you realize you are not just thinking your way into a new reality. You are feeling it, living it, embodying it in every cell of your being. Your body is not betraying you. It is prophesying for you. Every shiver, every pulse, every surge of energy is a declaration. The shift is here, and you are ready to carry it. Your body has been whispering the truth all along. Something ancient, something luminous has been waiting in your cells, coded into the very strands of your DNA. What you call awakening is not only a shift in thought, not only a spiritual realization, it is a biological event. Your DNA is the archive of light, and right now it is breaking open like a book whose pages were sealed until this precise moment in time. You felt the pressure of it, the tightness in your chest that no doctor could explain, the restless buzzing in your limbs at night, as though your body were plugged into a current too vast for it to contain. The headaches, the surges of heat, the waves of exhaustion that come and go without logic. These are not malfunctions. They are phase transition signals. Your system is recalibrating to conduct more frequency than it ever has before. Think of water at the boiling point. Molecules collide, pressure builds, and just before the leap into vapor, the chaos is at its peak. That is where you are. Your DNA is colliding with the remnants of your old frequency, pressing against the walls of your old identity. The chaos feels unbearable because it is the threshold. And once the leap occurs, once the codes snap open, the very timelines around you shift. Science calls DNA the blueprint of life, but mystics have always known it is more than biology. Those spiraling strands are antennas, receivers of cosmic data, transmitters of human potential. The so-called junk DNA is not junk at all. It is dormant programming, waiting for the right resonance to awaken it. And that resonance is coherence. When you release the old frequency, when you align thought, emotion, and action into a single broadcast, your DNA receives the signal, it's time. The dormant codes switch on, and the upgrade ignites. This ignition doesn't just change you, it changes reality around you, because DNA is entangled with timelines. When you awaken dormant strands, you don't only alter your biology, you shift the version of the universe that corresponds to your new frequency. Timelines are not fixed, they are probabilities, and your DNA is the lock and key. The breakthrough you've been waiting for isn't just a personal transformation. It is a timeline shift, collapsing one version of your life and opening another. This is why déjà vu has haunted you, why you felt trapped in loops, living the same scenes over and over. Those were echoes of the old frequency, timelines recycling themselves because your DNA had not yet released the static. But once the upgrade stabilizes, those echoes dissolve. The endless reruns end, and suddenly, you are walking into experiences that feel fresh, uncharted, alive with possibility, not because the world changed randomly, but because you unlocked a different broadcast inside yourself. The pressure you feel right now is the birth canal of timelines. It is your DNA straining against the old codes, demanding to transmit the new. It feels like contraction, because something is being born. It feels like chaos because the old order is disintegrating. And it feels urgent because the window for activation is open, humming, vibrating with potential. This is why the field has been so relentless in pressing you, why your body has been so insistent in signaling discomfort, because your DNA is on the edge of ignition, and the quantum field is amplifying the charge. It is asking you to choose coherence, to trust the leap, to stop clinging to the fragments of the old frequency. Because the moment you surrender, the ignition becomes inevitable. Picture it. Strands of light coiling inside you, humming louder, vibrating faster, until they begin to glow. That glow is not metaphor. It is photon emission, measurable in laboratories, witnessed in mystic visions. Your DNA literally emits light, and as the upgrade activates, that light intensifies. You become a beacon, radiating frequency into the field. And in that radiation, timelines bend, reality tilts, doors open. What seemed impossible becomes magnetic. This is the DNA breakthrough, the collapse of everything you thought was fixed, and the birth of everything you secretly knew was possible. It is the end of repetition, the end of distortion, the end of living as a signal jammed by static. It is the beginning of walking in resonance with the reality you've waited your whole life to touch. But know this, the pressure will not last forever. Just as water does not simmer endlessly, the phase transition reaches completion. The moment you release the old, the chaos stabilizes. The heat becomes clarity, the tremors become flow, and you realize that what felt unbearable was simply the labor pains of your new timeline. So let yourself break open. Let your DNA ignite. Let the dormant codes flood into light, because the universe is not withholding your shift. It has been waiting for you to activate the antenna inside your very cells. And once you do, you'll look back on the loops of déjà vu, the distortions of time, the endless echoes, and you'll see them for what they were. The resistance before the breakthrough, the turbulence before flight. You are at the ignition point, and once the codes switch on, nothing in your life, nothing in this world will ever look the same again. And now, here you are standing on the other side of the veil, the old frequency trembling behind you like a shadow that no longer has permission to follow. The pressure that once felt unbearable has broken into clarity. The static has thinned into silence. And in that silence, you can hear the truth your soul has been whispering all along. You were never waiting for the shift. The shift was waiting for you. Your DNA hums differently now. The codes that once slept have stirred. The observer loop that bound you to repetition has collapsed, and in its place, a new resonance rings through every cell. You feel it in your breath deeper, freer, like each inhale is drawing the universe closer, and each exhale is imprinting your new frequency across the field. You feel it in your skin, alive with tingles that are not nerves, but signals, confirmations that your broadcast is being heard across timelines. This is no longer about survival, no longer about breaking cycles or patching fragments of old lives. This is about embodiment, about living as the coherence that others can feel, even without words. About walking as the shift, not seeking it. Because once the breakthrough stabilizes, you don't just witness reality differently, you generate it differently. You are no longer reacting to the field. You are shaping it. And this is your mission now. To remember that your liberation was never isolated. To recognize that your frequency is now entangled with humanity's evolution. To walk each day as a tuning fork for coherence, allowing your resonance to ripple outward, touching lives you may never meet, generations you will never see. The old frequency kept you looping in yourself. The new frequency makes you luminous for the collective. So let the urgency you once felt transform into devotion. Devotion to staying aligned when the static tempts you. Devotion to breathing truth into the spaces that feel heavy. Devotion to carrying the clarity you've claimed as a gift, not a secret. Your life itself is now the ritual, every step, every choice, every moment, radiating the reality shift you waited your whole life to see. Do not underestimate the power of this moment. The shift is not somewhere in the distance. It is here, alive in your cells, vibrating in your timeline, shaping the probabilities that now collapse around your presence. And as you walk forward, know this: you have not only released your old frequency, you have become the embodiment of the new. So witness it, claim it, live it, because the truth is undeniable now. The reality you longed for, the breakthrough you prayed for, the destiny you thought was far away, it has arrived, and you are standing in it. This is your awakening, your mission, your legacy. Release complete, upgrade sealed. The shift is yours.